question under our question and answer session. And the question is, the uniqueness of the executive lies in its, is it law-making functions, is it multi-agencies and structures, or is it implementation of the law? This is a technical question, but everyone knows that the executive don't make law. Primarily, the executive is not meant to make law. So option A is out of it, except in the case of maybe delegated legislation, whereby the legislature can delegate part of its responsibility to the executive to make law. But primarily, the executive does not make law. So option A is out of it. Then we have to battle with option B and C. You may want to see that option C is the what? Closest, because normally the executive implements the law. Implementation of the law. Implementation of law means enforcement of the law, which is one of the primary responsibilities. In fact, it is the primary responsibility of the executive. But this question is technical because of the use of uniqueness. Because of the word uniqueness. Uniqueness means something spectacular, something extra, which other organs of government do not have. And that is why option C will not be taken. It's not a special function. Of course, law-making function is a special function of the legislature. Implementation is a special function of the legislature. But what makes the executive unique? What makes the executive so special that we don't have it in other organs of government? And that is what? Option B. Option B. The executive is unique because it has many agencies under it and structures. As I have said, all the different agencies we have under the executive are what? The military, the what? The police, the civil service, which is also called the ministries of government. The different ministries of government is the civil service. We can have Ministry of Water Resources, we can have Ministry of Power and Energy, we can have Ministry of Health, we can have Ministry of Education, we can have Ministry of Defense and Security. All these ministries are under the what? Civil service, and they are under the what? Executive. We also have the what? Other corporations. We have public corporations. What are public corporations? Public corporations are organizations or corporations that are owned and managed by the what? Government. They are organizations that provide extra services to members of the public. They are also part of the what? Executive. They work outside the ministries. Public corporations work outside the ministry. We even call them the sister. We call them sister corporations. Sister corporations to the what? Ministries. Because of what? They what? They assist the ministries of government in their what? Functions and duties. So they are also under the what? Executive. The customs, the custom officers, they are also part of the executive. They stay at the border to check in and out people and their what? Goods. They are also under the what? Executive. We have a whole lot of agencies under the what? Executive, whereas we do not have them in the other organs of government. Legislature is strictly the what? Lawmakers. It's strictly the what? Lawmakers. And the building for the legislature is what? The National Assembly, as in Nigeria. The National Assembly, the Senate, and the what? House of Representatives. Only that building. And they are only lawmakers. Then we have the one for judiciary, which stands for the court. The court. Perhaps the prison too. These are the two major agencies, or these are the two major things under the judiciary. And we have lawyers and judges under the judiciary. But under the executive, we have a whole lot of agencies. In fact, there are some that I did not even mention. But these are the key ones, and these agencies must perform their functions very well in order to make the country stable and peaceful. And that is the reason why the executive is unique. It's unique because of what? We have a whole lot of agencies working under the executive, of which we don't have them in the other organs of government. So the answer to this is what? Because the executive is what? Has many agencies and what? Structures under it. That is what makes the executive unique. Not in terms of the function of implementation of the law. Of course, the executive implements the law, which is the primary function, but it does not make it unique, because other organs of government also have their own primary functions. For example, the legislature primary function is to make law. The judiciary special function, and the judiciary primary function is to interpret the law. Of course, the executive primary function too is to what? Implement the law. But the question here is emphasizing uniqueness, and the uniqueness of the executive, as I said, is because it has many agencies working under it, and these agencies are very, very vital and important to the what? Society or state. Thank you.